Hi there, everybody. Is the sound okay? Because I've had every live that I made, there's been problems with the sound, but I hope you can hear me. Is the sound okay? Let me know if that's everything is okay, and we'll have quite a few here already. We have Top Cat GF from Uruguay. We got Rick Bear from Southern England. We got Patrick Whitehead from the UK, and there is Marcus Sangrnich from South Florida, and then Korna Steniker is not the first one. Where are you from? Where are you? Stan Hirschman, thanks you for commenting about the sound, because I've started all my live streams recently so that there's no sound, and I think there's something problem when if I have the countdown in the beginning, and then I'll have my mic muted. It's going to be a problem because it takes a little while to pick the sound. But today's topic is all about lenses, and what we will gonna talk about also is the lens roadmap. But there will be some questions first from the members of this channel, and we'll wait for a little while. Then we will start with those first. And the first question I want to ask you: what is your favorite lens? Oh, Stan from Texas. All right, welcome. Hello, Costa Rica, Massachusetts, Disco 4178. Susanna Eriksson from Sweden. Hi there, how is Sweden doing? And how is everybody else doing? Austria. Korna Steniker is from Austria. And Amman Jordan. All right, welcome. New York City. How is New York? Hello, New York. That's interesting. We got from Jordan, we got from US, we got from Sweden, England, Uruguay, all over the place. UK, of course. Eetu, terve. That's hi in Finnish. But we could actually start first with the questions that I got in advanced from my channel members. And if you want to be a member of this channel, you can check. No, it's on this side. No, sorry. I wonder where it is. It's about there is the join button. And press that and see if that's something for you. But let's start with the questions. And I'm sorry that I don't have the questions to be put on screen, because 2 minutes before I started, I kind of lost those nice graphics that I made. But there was, let me check that I get the name right. There was Cecile Burnett, who is going to take a trip to India. Of course, not right now, and she was asking about her camera choice and lens choice, because she's very keen on photographing architecture in India. And I would say that, first of all, the camera choice, I would take the EM5 Mark III, because that was one of his choices that he or she wanted to have, and I would take the EM5 Mark III. And then about the lens choices, because architecture is a bit special, kind of like a genre, and of course a fast what do you call it, wide angle lens is very good. But then when you're traveling, then you need to think that, because architecture is also about details, and you might need a longer lens too. And that could be a good thing that look into the zooms. There are a lot of good zoom lenses, and it depends on when you're traveling to India, but usually it's quite amount of light there. So there's a lot of light during the day, so you might not need that fast lenses. And even though, and of course, when you do architecture photography, you kind of want to stop down anyways a bit. So a fast lens might not be the thing. But then as you have to really decide which one it is. Is it a set of prime lenses or a travel zoom like the 14 to 150 or 12 to 200? Either one is all right. And we're answering the members' questions that I got. And let's see, the next one was, I need to scroll down here because I blew up all my fine answers that I had or was going to put there in the let's see, yeah, it's just checking the stream on my screen there too, that yeah, I had the sound off, so there won't be any sound echoing and that stuff like that. And Corna is saying that the best travel could be the 12 to 45 mm f4. And yeah, I agree, and that could be also a good choice for, because with the EM5 Mark III, it's a marvelous combination for travel. So that could also be a good one. Susanne Eriksson is asking about the Olympus lenses and Panasonic bodies. I will come to those after I've answered the questions from the channel members. The second one was Stan Hirschman was asking about in general about the lenses, and to Stan I will say that I will go to that when we talk about the lens roadmap in the later part of the video or the live stream. And then there is a very interesting question about the MKIII and EM1, and that is from Uwe, a channel member also, and he was concerned that does the 12 to 100 millimeter work with the EM1, the MKIII, and I know for sure that it works with 300 f4, and maybe Robin Wong, who is also here, could confirm me that the EM1 also supports MKIII, because that's my impression. Unfortunately I don't have any IS lenses which has the lens stabilizer, so I can confirm that, but I know that the 300 millimeter f4 works, but I will get back to you, Uwe, and confirm that answer to you. And those were the answers for this time for the members who had sent the questions. And let's start seeing the question that I asked in the beginning of your favorite lenses. And let's see. Okay, Robert Melnick says that it's his favorite lens is 12 to 100 millimeter. That's a cool lens. And then this is interesting. Uwe, who actually asked about the MKIII, he says that his favorite lens is the 17 millimeter f1.8 and interesting 30 millimeter 3.5 macro. That's a actually very good lens, and I think it's one of those lenses that are a bit underestimated. It's a great and very good value for money macro lens. So if you're starting out with macro, I would definitely consider the 30 millimeter f3.5 lens. It's not a very fast lens, but we have to remember that when doing macro photography, you need quite a lot of depth of field, and so the fast macro lenses, it's no use. So that's not a problem. And it's actually the 30 millimeter lens is also a very good kind of like all-around lens. And that was interesting, very good. And then there is Marsha who's saying that 7 to 14 millimeter is the only pro lens. And yeah, 75 to 300 millimeter lens is very good in bright light. I agree on that. It's a bit slow lens, so in dark conditions it might be a bit too slow. But if it's a good condition and a lot of light, then it's a marvelous lens, and you got lots and lots of reach for that. So that's also a very, very good lens. And let's see. This I also already went through about the best travel lens, and I would say that it is 12 to 45 millimeter f4. I would definitely say that it's one of the best lenses, especially with the EM5 Mark III. I really love that. And then there is Burana. I'm not going to try to say a last name. Limron Guan. No, not that hard actually. Is the EM1 Mark II with the 25 millimeter. Yeah, 25 millimeter is one of my favorite focal lengths for casual shooting, because just works, because I like the angle of view is quite nice, and then also the perspective is pretty natural. It doesn't really kind of like how would I say, it doesn't squeeze or stretch the perspective. It's quite natural, and that's why why I really like the 25mm lens. And let's see. And there's another one for the 17mm. Yeah, that's a very good lens and also very good value for money. And then we have Robin Wong, who most of you probably know. He makes some stunningly great videos to YouTube. So be sure, if you haven't seen Robin's channel, which I would think that it's pretty odd that you haven't, most likely you have. So remember to go and check out that channel too. And his favorite lens is M.Zuiko 45mm f1.8, and that's also one of the best money can buy lenses. And by that I mean the price and the quality ratio is probably the best. It's really inexpensive lens, and the quality is stunning. It's just marvelous lens. And all right, Susanna from Sweden. I have the 60mm macro and 7 to 14mm pro lens. Well, how do you like that? Wide-angle zoom. Sorry, wide-angle zoom. I was going to say it's a great lens, and that's one of my favorites for landscape too. If I'm going out and don't worry about the big size of the lens, and then that's definitely one of my favorites for the landscape photography. It's really great, and the 60mm macro is a marvelous lens for macro. And the advantage of the 60mm macro to the 30mm is that you are a bit further away from the subject, so you have more room between your subject and your lens. So that's two things that are good about that. The one thing is that, okay, if you are let's say photographing bugs or butterflies, you won't be too close and bother them. If you have the 60mm, you can be a bit further away. And then when you're a bit further away, you have more room to put some light between or light the subject. If you're really close, then it's really hard to light the subject. In some cases, even the lens might cast a shadow on the subject if you go really close with the 30mm. But otherwise, the 30mm is totally fine. And then there is a question which is always asked, is that Jose has the 14 to 42mm electronic zoom kit lens, which is actually a very good lens. But there are two things that I don't really fancy about that lens, is that it's doesn't have really good manual focus ring, but that's not a problem. If you never use manual focus, then don't worry about that. And then the electronic zoom. I'm not a big fan of electronic zoom, but the quality of the lens otherwise is just perfect. And what's really good about it is that it's really small. You can just fit it in your pocket with the smaller OMD body, and that's a marvelous lens. But I can understand that sometimes you might feel that you want a bit better lens, and since you have the EM10 Mark II, I would go with the 12 to 45mm f4. You won't gain that much better aperture or faster lens, but then of course on the 45mm end it is stop faster, which is really good. But on the, let's say that on the wide angle end it isn't. It's actually slower than the kit lens, because the kit lens is 3.5. So if you want faster lens, then the 12 to 40 to f 2.8 could be the solution. But I would definitely check the 12 to 45mm f4 lens. That goes really well with the EM10 Mark II. And let's see. And yeah, this is Uwe for you. EM1 supports 5-axis sync IS, so 12 to 100mm will be okay with the EM1 body. So you will have the sync IS in use. Thanks, Robin, for clarifying me and making that or confirming that. Thanks, Robin. And then let's make that a bit bigger. Myjeg is asking, is it a good idea to use super expensive lens like Pro 300mm with the EM10 Mark II body? Well, I wouldn't say that the price itself doesn't really matter, and yeah, it is. If you really need that lens and can afford it, why not? The only a bit downside is that it's the EM10 Mark II body is quite small, so it might be a bit unbalanced. But otherwise, no problem with that. The image quality will be great, and that's really really great lens. And if you're doing bird photography, for example, then it's just or sports maybe, then it's no problem. Of course, you have to remember that the EM10 Mark II has not the continuous AF isn't as good as with the newer bodies, so that could be an issue. But it depends on if you don't need to fly to photograph flying birds or fast situation, then it's no problem at all. If you can balance it well, then it's no problem, I would say. And okay, I like these kind of things. I hope the lockdown goes over fast, because David is moving back to Olympus. The Sony gear is going. Yeah, thumbs up for that. Nothing wrong with Sony, but it's always nice when people choose Olympus cameras. And I can't say for Robin, but I think he has. I do have, and I will put the link after the stream is over, and I will put a link to that video in the description. So be sure to check out that, and Robin can excuse me. Robin can confirm on his side if he has a now there's something wrong. I need to take some water. And Robin can say if he has a video about 7 to 14mm lens. And let's see. Yeah. Yeah, this is really good. Yeah, the 12 to 45mm Pro lens is really good with the EM5 series and EM10 series cameras, and of course with the bigger ones too. But especially with the smaller OMD bodies, it's perfect companion to that. And remember that the 12 to 45mm is also weather sealed, which is really good. And let's see. David says hi from Virginia. All right, hi there. Yeah, and there's a confirmation that 300mm f4 works perfectly on EM1. Yeah, it does. It really does. That's really good. Yeah, and then Miguel is saying that the 30mm macro f 3.5 also works very well. That's true. That's true. And this is interesting. Yeah, this is actually one of those undervalued lenses too. The 9 to 18mm lens. Let me put that away so you can see this a bit better. The 9 to 18mm lens. Yeah, I like that lens. I tested it a couple of years ago. It's a long time. I don't have the lens right now, but I tested it, and it was a really good lens, and I like the focal length of it, and it's actually quite small, which is good too. And that's something that if you find it somewhere, I don't know if Olympus still makes it, but no, yeah, that lens is still made by Olympus. So if you can get hold of one and need a wide angle zoom lens, and you feel that the 7 to 40mm is way too big or too expensive, then I would look for this lens, and this is really a nice lens. And let's see. Yeah, there's a good point from Miguel or Miguel. Yeah, Miguel. Sorry. The 12 to 100mm f4 Pro lens is very good, but at night better to go with 25 1.8, which is very cheap. Yeah, that's true. Or if you have money directly, you can use the 7 to 14 Pro. Well, I would say that if let's say that the travel combo, the 12 to 100 f4 plus the 25mm f1 lens, that's a really good combo for travel, because you have the 12 to 100mm, you got the wide angle, you got the reach, and then you have the small package for those night shots. If you go out, you spend the day out in traveling and using the 12 to 100 millimeter, then go to the hotel and go have some dinner and take the smaller package with you, then that could work really well. And that's always what I recommend, that if you have one of those travel zooms, it can be the 12 to 200, 14 to 150 millimeter lens, and then you have some fast prime lens with you. And I also recommend usually the f1.8 series lenses, because those are small and you can put it in your jacket. If you have some nice jacket when you go out to dinner, you can stick it in your pocket. Your camera, it doesn't stick out that much, because sometimes it might be not that safe to go with big lenses during the night when you're traveling. So that's good. And if it's a 25, 17 or 45, depends on your shooting style. So, but that's a very good combo. That's a good thing that you brought that up, Miguel. And let's see what else do we have here. Yeah, then this is an interesting question about indoor sports. 40 to 150 millimeter or 75 1.8. Well, of course, the best possible situation could be if you could have them both, because the 40 to 150 millimeter is f2.8, and then you got 1.8 lens, that's the 75. And the difference is that the 40 to 150 millimeter lens has a bit better or faster autofocus than the 75 millimeter, but they both have very good image quality. So in that sense, it doesn't really matter. But that's a hard question. I would most likely, if I only could choose one of those, I would take the zoom. That's more versatile. It's, of course, it depends on a bit also about the sport, what you're doing, that how close you can be to the pitch, or it's not a pitch, or the court, indoor court, and it depends on quite a lot about that. But of course, if you have them both and the possibility, then I would of course bring them both. But I would go with the zoom, definitely with the zoom. Yeah, just got the. All right, this is interesting, Christopher. Congratulations for your new lens. I hope you can or are able to use it tomorrow, and hope you can post some links to your images to the live stream comments after you've taken some images. It'd be nice to see those. And then okay, then there is this is always an interesting question. A lot of people ask me about the Sigma lenses, and I have tested the 16 millimeter 1.4 Sigma lens, and I have actually a video about it in my channel. So if you're interested in, go and check that out if you feel like it. And Sigma lenses, those are really good lenses, and I have to say that I don't know if somebody from Olympus is listening, but those are really good lenses and really good value for the money. But the only downside of those lenses are that those are built for APS-C sensors, so those are a bit big. It's the same lens for APS-C sensor cameras, but it has only the micro four thirds mount in the back of the lens, so those lenses are a bit bigger. But otherwise, no problem with those lenses. Really good quality. I've seen some photographs taken with the 56 millimeter and the 30 millimeter, and they all very good lenses. And that also brings me to the we could actually talk about continue with the questions, but we could talk about the lens roadmap. I don't know, most of you have seen this. This is released in November 2019, and there are some interesting lenses, like the many times already announced 150 to 400 millimeter f4 lens, which has an extender built in. Plus, it can also take the extender MC14 and MC20, and that's going to be an interesting lens. And there's also in M.Zuiko line, there will be a 100 to 400 millimeter f5 to f6.3 lens with the stabilizer. Or stabilizer, sorry, that's the correct way to say it. So it will work as a Sync IS with the EM1 series, and I think EM5 too, at least. And that is going to be an interesting lens, because I know that a lot of bird photographer enthusiasts, not maybe the pros, but those who like to go out to the woods and just for fun photograph birds, have bought the 100 and 400 millimeter Panasonic lens. And of course, it's something that Olympus should have or should have had already, but now it's coming, and not really sure when it's released. I think it's released during the summer. That's what the rumors say, but those are only rumors. I don't have any official information about that. And that's going to be a really interesting lens, and most likely it's not the fastest. It's a bit slower than the Panasonic version, but then this might be a bit smaller. So when it put it into the smaller OMD bodies, I think that's going to be a really interesting lens. And then on the M.Zuiko Pro lineup lenses, there is another interesting is the bright prime lenses. I don't know what those are, but if you look at the range that it goes from around 12 millimeters all the way up to 15 millimeters. So that would and will tell me that there might be, like somebody asked me before this live stream, that is there going to be a pro version of the 12 millimeter lens. And if you look at this, it's possible. These are not facts yet, but these are speculations. If we look at the roadmap, which is publicly kind of like distributed, so it's not a secret. And then it goes all the way up to 50 millimeters. So we would expect that there will be a 12 millimeter pro lens sometimes. I don't know when, but that's really interesting. And also the wide zoom lens in pro lineup is something that is really interesting. And also a smaller telephoto lens from around 40 to 100. Interesting to see what that will be. Is that going to be f4, really small lens, which I wouldn't be surprised if that is so. But we will see what Olympus will do. But what are the lenses that you would like to see that Olympus makes? Is there any lenses that you might add to this chart that would be really cool? Oh, Rob Drake, hi there. Oh, thanks, Rob. Okay, Rob has put the link of my 7 to 14 millimeter. A good thing that I have staff here. Sorry, Rob. I just had to say it. Thanks very much. That very much appreciated for the link. And let's see. What are the lenses that you would like to see Olympus make? Okay, this is interesting. Let's see if we can put the lens roadmap and the comment here. Yeah, let's see if we can see. I'm disappointed that the gap Olympus Pro Series super wide angle and prime lenses is too 8 to 70 millimeters is a too big gap. We need 7 millimeter and 12 millimeter Pro prime. Let's put that away. Yeah, I agree. I really agree that it is a big gap, and we need, and they most likely, as we see here, there will be something there. That what it looks like, and let's hope that there will be very good observation, Rick. Thanks for that. And this is an interesting question. Oh, let's whoops, now I have a bit of a mess here. Let's see. No, right, now we can see. Sorry about the mess with the comments. Why is f4 so common in the micro four third lenses? I would say that f4 lenses is actually quite common also in full frame. There is all the big manufacturers have a f4 lineup for lenses. And the reason is that usually f4 lenses are a bit cheaper and then they are a bit smaller. I would say that is the answer to that, because at least with Olympus the size of the lens is really important, that they try to to make us, break from the heavy gear and be free and break free. So that's why they most likely are going to introduce some more f4 lenses. That's most likely the case. And yeah, this is all right. Now I can't hide this. Now I'm messing up here. Let's see. Uwe is saying about the Laowa 7.5 2.0 lens, and those are good for polar lights, aurora borealis. Do you think there will come a lens under 12mm from Oli? No fisheye. If we look at the let's look at the lens roadmap, and if we look at this, then most likely not. That's what this tells me. This is I don't know, but this what if we look at the lens roadmap, it says that no, I don't think there will be. It would be good if there were, but there won't be. That's what I suspect. And let's see. I need to scroll back a bit and see if I missed something. Yeah, and there's is probably the answer when I ask that. What are the lenses that you people would want Olympus to make? And I agree with Burana, because I would love to see the Holy Trinity, the 17, 25, and 45 f1.8 lenses as a small weather sealed versions, and could be f1.4. That would be really good. I really agree on that. And if they can add a 12mm there too, why not? That would be an awesome combo of lenses. That would be really a dream come true if they made all those lenses. That would be totally be most likely, if the quality is as good as M.Zuiko lenses usually are. That would probably be my favorite set of lenses. All right, let's see what we have here. And this is interesting. This pops up many times. And oh, Canary Island. How's the weather? Is it summer and warm already there? David is talking about the future of Micro Four Thirds, and we probably have been talking this quite a bit. And I would say that the future is quite bright. I just heard a few days ago. Actually, it was no, wait a minute. It was on Wednesday on my live with Joe Edelman, when he said that the Micro Four Thirds, and especially Olympus, has gained some more market share in the States. So that's usually a good thing if people start buying more Olympus gear in the US, because US is a big market and a lot of influencers, and they have a lot of social influence to what do you call it? Well, they make people believe that the things are good if the influencers and YouTubers start using Olympus over there. And I hope that continues. But I would say that the future is good. I think the Micro Four Thirty is a perfect size camera for many things. Pros can use it. I know a lot of bird photographers are using it, and I'm using it. I do all kinds of video work. I do portraits. I do corporate stuff, and it's just works for me, of course. But there are, of course, other brands and other sensor sizes for those who might need that, and they're all good. I'm not saying that, but for me, Micro Four Thirty is really good, and it's been growing the opinion, because it's people want smaller bodies, and the technology with Olympus cameras have it's just great. It's a great technology what they have, and I would say that maybe the APS-C is something that is going away. I don't know. Maybe Fuji will stay, but they have a different strategy. They have the APS-C, and then they have the kind of like the medium format. So they have a bit different approach than others. But having a APS-C and a full frame I don't think it's very valid anymore. But I would say that Micro Four Thirds has a bright future. I believe that. Let's see. Let's see some more questions. Yeah, I agree. This is a very common opinion that small 1.4 lenses would be great, and I really hope that Olympus makes those we'll make those lenses. Let's give a thumbs up and hope that they will do. Let's see. Miguel is asking that he has the 12 to 100 millimeter Pro. Do you advise me for mountain photo, not extreme, bird flight, moon photo? It's 7 to 300, or better wait for the new 100 with these, or better 75 to 150 Pro. I don't. Yeah, well, 75 to 150 Pro. I don't think that lens exists unless you mean the 4/3 lenses. Well, it's hard to say. It depends on when you need the lens. If you need the lens now, then the 12 to 100 will be totally fine. It's a very versatile lens. But if you're not in a hurry, yeah, the 100 to 400 could be one of those lenses that you could need, or I don't know if you need it, but might want. And the image stabilizer that it has, that's a really good thing, because it will make the long lens be good with handheld shots. And if you are hiking in the mountains, you don't want to carry a tripod with you. So I would say that I would say that it depends on how or when you need it. That would be the thing. So if you have time to wait and you don't need it yet, then just check out when the 100 and 400 will come. Yeah, you're welcome. And yeah, it's a great camera. M5 Mark II is still totally great camera, and I still use it even though they are newer bodies. I like the. I don't know why I like the M5 series cameras. Those are really serious cameras. Those are really good. I'm glad that you're happy with your camera. Oh, this one comes up also, that the mirror lenses, which is a totally different type of lens. It's a fixed aperture lens, and there is kind of like a mirror inside. And it makes a round bokeh, or a circle donut type bokeh. It's a really interesting lens, and Olympus used to make back in the film days. They used to make the mirror lenses, and I know that Samyang and Tokina have 300 millimeter so-called mirror lenses. But I don't think Olympus could probably make it. Would be possible, but I don't see them making a mirror lens. It's at least it's not in the lens roadmap so far. So I don't think they will make that. Be fun though if they did, but they don't, most likely. Yeah, this is true. Hi from Puerto Rico. This is true. Olympus has always had cutting edge technology. Many other camera manufacturers have adapted Olympus technology. That's true. And if you're interested in the Olympus history and all that technology, then I have a video about Olympus 100 years, and I have 100 facts about Olympus cameras and some other Olympus related news that has been around in the last 100 years. And you can find it in my videos. You just go to Olympus 100. You go and search that in my channel, and you can find it. And there are some amazing technology that Olympus has adapted. So there's a long list of being the first one. And this is an interesting question about the M.Zuiko 70 to 2.8 lens. And this, I believe that this was the first lens that Olympus made. It was a kit lens with the EPL1, and they sold it as a kit lens. And I once tested the lens, and at f2.8 it's not very good. But if you stop down, then yeah, it is a good lens. And if you can find it somewhere, it's really good. And as I said earlier in this video, that for landscape you don't really need fast lenses. If you get it for landscape, then it's more about the other qualities of the lens, because in landscape you usually stop down anyways, and so it doesn't, no use of getting really fast lenses for landscape if you don't need it for something else, then that's a different thing. But yeah, it's a nice little pancake lens. But with f2.8, I don't think the quality wasn't really that good. But stopping down, it's all right. So if you can find it somewhere, it's kind of like a collector's lens too, because I think it was the first one. Let's see. And then Camilla Parra is asking that how hard it is to use manual focus lenses for a beginner. Any preferences between Pen F and the EM10 Mark III? I would say that let's talk about the manual focus lenses, and it's not really that hard if you use the focus peaking and or magnify on your camera, and just turn those on, and then when you start manual focusing, you will see some colors in the places, or some color dots in the places where the image is sharp, and you can change the color from red, yellow, black, and white. So you have 4 different colors that you can choose from, and that's a really easy way to get the images really sharp. Also manual focus, and I use quite a lot of manual focusing because I'm come from the manual focus and film era when I actually have done a lot of work with manual focus. And I remember having the medium format camera that was manual focus. There wasn't any autofocus versions of the camera that I had, so I'm really used to it, and it's something that it's a good thing to practice. But of course, depends on what you're making images of. So and photographing, because autofocus is totally fine in most cases, but that's a good thing. And also, if you have the ability to use some vintage lenses, because Olympus cameras can take almost any lens that's ever made. There are lots and lots of what do you call the adapters, so that you can put almost any lens in there. And I do have some vintage lenses, and those are really fun because they make some interesting looking images, because the variety of the quality of the lenses was a bit different way back in the film era. There were some really stunning lenses that make really interesting looking images. So that's something to look for, because some of the vintage lenses aren't really even that expensive. So if that's something that you would like to try, that might be something to try. And then if there are any bird photographers listening, you could also answer this to Christopher. He's asking about the MC14 and MC20 teleconverters. Any good? I would say that yes, I've used them with 40 to 150 and 300mm lenses both, and I didn't really see any loss of image quality. That is something that I would not use them. Of course, it's always when you put some more glass between the sensor and the lens, or in front of the lens, you will lose some image quality, but nothing that would make me worried. The only thing is that you remember that it will get the lens a bit slower. So if you have the 2.0, you will have 300mm lens will be f8 lens. So that's maybe the only concern. If that is a problem, if there's not enough light, then the shutter speeds might be too long for bird photography, for example. But otherwise, if there's good light and the loss of light doesn't really matter, then I would definitely go with either one of those. And let's see. Yeah, there is Michael Mercer is saying that he has the 500 Olympus lens. It's very hard to focus. Yeah, and that is true, because a long lens has a very narrow depth of field, and if you have manual focus, it is really, because it's really precise. You go a bit wrong, then it's not anymore sharp, and that's why it's really hard to focus. But I don't know if you're using magnify and the focus peaking features, then it would be easier. But of course, if you are shooting handheld and you move a bit like this, going a bit like this, then the movement in the front lens will make the image unsharp. So then if it's on a tripod, then it's a bit easier. And let's see. And is anybody can help Yannick Kruse on his dilemma about 12 to 40 Pro versus 25 1.2, 17 to 1.8, and 45 1.8. Well, that I would say that it depends on how much glass you want to carry around. If you feel like having easy thing, you just grab your camera, you have the lens to 12 to 40 f2.8 Pro lens. That's most likely will do fine, and you will be really happy. But then if you want to have some prime lenses, then that means that you need to carry some more stuff. I think that would be the thing. And then of course you might want to have a faster lens. If let's say that, like I was talking earlier about travel lenses, then you might have a zoom lens which is not that fast. Of course 2.8 is quite fast, but anyway, then you have 1.2 or 1.8 lens on the side for those dark moments, those night shots, and when it's not that bright, or during nighttime. And then that combo could be. And then, as I said earlier, also is that it depends on the focus, not the focus, but the angle of view depends on, of course, what you want to shoot. If you want to do landscapes and cityscapes, then maybe a 17 millimeter. And then if you're more of a street photographer, then 25 or 45. And it depends. It depends on a bit of course of the style that you do. But if there are any other comments to Yannick, please help with his dilemma. Oh yeah, I'll pick one of Yannick's questions or comments. Yes, I agree that the 25 to f1.2 lens, that is a marvelous lens, and all the Pro lenses are good, but they also cost a lot more than the f1.8 series lenses. But what's great about the Pro lineup lenses is that they all weather sealed, and what I like about them that they have the MF clutch, so it's you just move the manual focus ring backwards and you will have it manual focus, which I like a lot. It's one of those usability things that I really care and like. And yeah, and then there is the feathered bokeh, which is a nice character with the bokeh on the Pro lenses, that which is or the 1.2 lenses, which is really nice. That I really like the character, but nothing wrong with the f1.8 lenses. If that's they have the advantage of being a lot smaller, so it's always kind of like a, well, what do you call it, compromise between the size and the aperture. So I know it's a dilemma. It's not easy to pick the lens. There are always some goods and bads with everything. And let's continue. Let's see. What else do we have? Let's see. Geoffrey is asking about. I'm currently stuck looking for one now, Pete. I have the 12 to 40 millimeter Pro on a EM1 Mark II body. What lens should I grab for landscapes, or do I have what I need? Well, you can do totally fine with 12 to 40 millimeter f2.8 Pro lens. You can do stunning landscapes with that. But if you want wider, if that's too narrow, then there are two things. You could do panoramas, or you could get a wider angle like the 7 to 14 millimeter, or then you could have a smaller lens like the 12 to f2.0. But I don't know. It's really one of those hard questions that it depends on, and also what kind of landscapes you wanna do, because landscapes can be also done with the longer lenses. It's usually, we always talk about, when we talk about landscape, we assume that it's a wide angle, but I know a lot of landscape photographers that they use telephoto lenses, and then the 12 to 100 millimeter f4 could be also an option. It will have a bit more reach than your current lens, but these are always tough questions, because there are a lot of things that you need to consider, and price is always the one. And if you feel that you have a great camera body and 12 to 40, I honestly can't not really say for sure what would be a best solution. And let's see. Yeah, this is Victor is saying that weather sealed Holy Trinity f1.8. Yeah, that would be. I would be totally fine. It doesn't have to be a 1.4. It can be 1.8. But the weather sealing is something that I like to have in my lenses. That makes them lenses more versatile, so I don't have to worry about when to use them. So I don't need to cover them up. It doesn't matter if it rains a bit, just to be sure that the front lens won't get wet. Otherwise, it'd be totally fine. Let's continue and see what we have. Yeah, this is really interesting thing that I think that is something that Olympus should do, and that's a tilt shift lens for micro four thirds. Of course, the sensor is a bit smaller, so the effect won't be that, or you won't have that much room to make the effect, the tilt and shift. What it does actually is that the tilt and shift, what you can do with it, you can correct the perspective like the keystone feature in Olympus cameras, but that can be done in with the lens, moving the lens, and then you will have also ability to tilt the lens so that the depth of field, usually it is this way, but if you have the lens like this, you can kind of like turn the lens, and then you will have depth of field going this way and not this way, and that's really interesting for example product photography. And then the shift is for perspective correction for architecture, because if you have your camera tilted a bit like this, then the perspective will go like this, but if you can correct it, you will have straight lines in architecture photography, and that's really interesting. And yeah, I think they should make one. Either one be fine. If Panasonic makes it, then good for them, but I would definitely hope that. Sorry, I think there is Samyang, I think, makes a tilt shift lens for micro four thirds. I need to check. It could be because Samyang lens is also sold as Rockinon somewhere, and there might be a third brand too, which is actually the same lens, but different areas of the world have a bit different brands for Samyang lenses. But I think Samyang lenses that they have a tilt shift lens, or at least they used to have, for micro four thirds. It was a manual focus lens, or is, anyways, that I know. Let's see. Yeah, there is a good advice from Rick Bear to Christopher about the MC14, MC20, and yeah, you can always ask Olympus. You never know how they cope with that. You might get one for to test. That probably, and also you could rent one also. That's not also a bad things. And yeah, let me check here. Is there? Let me see, what else do we have? And yeah, I noticed that there have been some. Let me check, because for some reason I don't get those from. Well, there is one question from Stanislav Samolenko, and thank you for the super chat. Very much appreciated. Which focus length primes are most universal for you? Yeah, that was a question. I don't know why I don't. Okay, there it is. Let's put it on now. I can find it. There's a bit of a delay with the questions, and he's asking which focus length prime lenses are most universal for you. Well, for me, if I would have only one lens, most likely it would be a 25mm lens for me. I think that would be my choice for lenses. I know some would have 45, some would have 17mm, but if I would have a set of prime lenses, then 12, 17, 25, 45, 75, and maybe 100. and all really fast. That would be a perfect combo. I probably wouldn't need anything else. Even though I like zoom lenses, they're really good if you do some venues and need to zoom a bit. You can't move that much. Then of course zoom lenses are that. But thank you very much, Stanislav. That's really appreciated. And I hope I answered your questions also. And let's see. Yeah, this is a good point from Rob about the tilt shift lenses. Will be hard with OMD cameras. The viewfinder overhang blocks the vertical sliding motion. That's true. That's really true. I don't know. Have you Rob tested tilt shift lenses with Olympus cameras? That would be interesting to hear. Let's see. Yeah, on Olympus cameras, you can use Keystone Comp. The only problem is with Keystone Comp that you will end up with a JPEG image. If you want raw image, then what I do with Keystone Comp is that I turn it on and check that I have enough room to correct the perspective in post. Because if you crop too tight, you might lose some, because it will crop the image, and you might lose some of the building if you try. Then I will straighten it with Keystone Comp, and then turn it off and put on RAW, or actually it will automatically go back to RAW, and then take the image, and I will know that I will have enough room in post to correct the perspective. So that's the way I do. But if you're fine with JPEG, then you just use the Keystone Comp. That's a great feature. Yeah, this would also be a really interesting if Olympus made a 095 AF lens or f1 lens. And yeah, there are. I actually have one from SLR Magic, which is a 25 millimeter 0.95 lens, and that's a really fun lens. It's really heavy because it's metal and all glass, and it's a really heavy lens, and with smaller Olympus bodies, it's actually too heavy. It's a bit unbalanced, but it's a fun lens. I should use it more. I really don't use it that much, but it makes a really nice image quality. It looks. There's actually a video about that lens in my channel, so if you wanna check out that, it's SLR Magic lens. I think the topic was I have a new lens or something like that. But yeah, that's an interesting lens, and I think Voigtlander might have one also for Micro Four Thirds. But it'd be interesting if Olympus made them. Yeah, I totally agree. And let's see what else. Yeah, that's a good point, which I should have said. But Robin said that those lenses would be quite big if they maintain this Zuiko high standard. That's true. But then I don't think if somebody wants that lens, I don't think the size would be a problem. It's a special lens anyway. And yeah, James, it is very good for live comp. You probably mean live time. Live view is a different thing, but you probably mean live time. Yeah, it's totally fine. It's more or less, or more about the thing that you're photographing, the what lens you need. But yeah, usually live comp is when I've used live comp, in most cases it's something a bit bigger. So I've not bigger, but something that I need a wide angle. So yeah, 12 to 40 millimeter is a good choice for many cases, because sometimes you don't know if you have some moving lights, you are not really sure where they are, so you need to have not too tight corp so that you can get the whole motion or the light trails correctly inside the frame. So that's why usually, but it depends. All right, we're gaining. We have 126 people online. That's a huge amount. Yeah, there is that. I asked Rob if he had used, because he does some real estate photography, so that he might have used that. I looked up some third-party tilt shift adapters. Yeah, they all say it's not compatible with OMD. Haven't tried full-frame lenses adapted. That would probably work, but pricey. Yeah, that's true. But if you have a totally manual adapter, then it probably would need, because for real estate, it's manual focus could work. So that could probably be one solution. I have one but it's only a tilt. It's not a shift adapter. That's for Nikon, but I don't have any Nikon lenses, so I've never really tested it. I once got it for like €5, and it was some kind of a box that they had in Helsinki Photo Fair, where they had this box with all that they could sell adapters, and it was like €5. But I never got any Nikon lenses. Maybe I should get it and try it how it works, because that tilt would be quite interesting to test. Let's see, what else do we have here? And let's see. And this is always an interesting question, that what do you get buying a Canon EOS R 50mm 1.2 for $2,500 instead of a Olympus 25mm 1.2 for $1,000? Is it worth it? Well, I would say that the Canon EOS R with the 50mm 1.2 lens is probably a marvelous combination, and probably totally fine. It would be a thing that is totally too big for me, and I've used Canons before, but then I switched 2014 in September. I came to Olympus because I didn't want to carry all that heavy gear, and I wanted to have smaller. So for me, the smaller body is totally, totally a better choice. And I wouldn't say that if I would use the EOS R with that lens and then the Olympus with the 25mm with the kind of like the same lens, then I wouldn't really think that my images would be any better with the Canon than it is with the Olympus. I don't think there would be any big difference. It's a matter of taste, and well, some like the Canon cameras and they are good, no problem with that. But I wouldn't pay that much for it. I wouldn't gear, because always when I get something, it needs to add value to my images. If I get something, I want to have that the equipment has some effect on my image quality, so that I can do things that I haven't been able to do before. Maybe it's a focal length that I need, and I can justify that cost, and then I can get some more work or some different kinds of work. And that's why that's always the things that I think when I'm kind of like buying something. It has to add value, and I need to justify it from that. So I wouldn't justify myself getting that expensive gear just to have one body and one lens. But of course we all think differently, and it's a marvelous combo probably. And let's see if I missed something. I'll go back a bit. Let's see what we have here. What is chat filter? I don't know what it is. That's interesting. I don't know. What's that? I really don't know. Let's see. Oh, Laowa 15mm 4 FF tilt lens would be adaptable to a fixed manual adapter. Well, that'd be interesting. What mount do they have? Do you know, Korna, what mount the Laowa 15mm has? Because that could be an interesting lens. I've never heard about that lens. I need to check that out. I really don't need one of those lenses, but it'd be interesting to see if I could get one for testing. That's something. Thanks for Korna for letting me know about that lens. That's something interesting. That's interesting. And let's see. Yeah, this is also an interesting question about upgrading a lens or getting a new lens or upgrading a camera, and that was a good question about Rick Bear. And I've heard some rumors that Matti Sulanto is making a video about this topic. And I don't know, he might have even posted it today. I don't know, but go check after this. Go check out his channel and see if he has the video already online. But my take on that, I haven't seen that video yet, but I've just talked to him and he said that he might do one of those videos today or next week. But my take is on that I would first look at getting some new glass instead of upgrading my body. Unless your body is really, really old and you want something better with the better features, maybe better image quality, less noise and stuff like that, then it could be. If you have really old body, then it's a different thing. But if you have any of the, let's say from EM5 Mark II and after that, then I wouldn't be rushing to get a new body. I would more likely to look some lenses and see what I actually would need, because lens quality and better lenses usually makes your images better quality. If we talk about the technical quality, the pixel pipping stuff, the story part is a different. That lenses has not much to do with that. If you don't know how to make images that have story, then it doesn't matter. But I would go for the lens first, and then of course if there's nothing and you just need something new, then the body. That's a very good question, Rick. Really good question. And also about lenses, when there was one thing that I almost missed about the cost effective, is also that lenses last a long time, bodies might wear out faster, so it also an investment. Because when I tested the diffraction of different lenses on Olympus camera or the M.Zuiko lenses, and I haven't used my 12mm f2.0 lens that much lately, and I tested that one also there and realized how good that lens is. And that lens is one of the first prime lenses, or actually it is the first prime lens. Oh, no, not actually the second. The 17 to f2.8 was the first, but f12 to 2.0 lens is I think it's the second lens then, yeah, prime lenses that Olympus ever made. And it was, that's 10, 11-year-old lens already, and it's still almost as good as the pro grade lenses, the 1 f.2 lenses. So it's a marvelous lens. So in that sense, it's an investment, and it will hold its price better and it will last longer, if that is something to consider. But I think it is, because you always, if you buy something, then the value loses. But it's better if it still holds the value, other than having it value, or whatever you call it. That's a good question, Rick. Thanks for that. Let's see. Yeah, this is true, and Olympus needs to maintain their high Zuiko standards, because they are leading experts when it comes to lens making. And yeah, that is one of the biggest advantages with the great features of Olympus cameras, is the lens quality, and they are really high quality lenses. Yeah, this is Kaustavis talking about the 7 Artisan lenses. I've never used those, but those are some lenses that I would really like to test. Once I did approach them that if they would send me a lens for testing, but they haven't come back to me. I don't know why. Maybe I should ask them again. But because that is really interesting lenses. I don't know if you have, Kaustav, used those lenses, and if you have, please let us know how you feel about those, because those are interesting lenses. Let's see. And then SL7293 is saying that my impression is most Olympus lenses have excellent image quality, and the difference between them trivial unless you pixel peep. Important difference is speed, weather seal, build quality, and focal length. Yeah, you're totally right. But I would say that those lenses are really good even if you start pixel peeping. I don't think it's the lens. If you find something, then it's something else than the lens. I really would say that those are good lenses. But yeah, the speed, weather sealing, and that's one important thing to me, for at least, is the weather sealing. I always talk about weather sealing, because it is important thing, because then there's no, you don't have to worry about when you go out, because usually a bad weather is a good weather to photograph because it's more interesting and you don't have that many images when it's a bad weather. Usually people go out when it's really sunny and nice. You can see all those sunny pictures, which are also nice, but remember that bad weather is a good weather to photograph. There isn't bad weather to photograph, there's only bad pictures. And Ian XB is asking about the 7 to 14 millimeter, if it's a good for landscape and astrophotography with OMD5 Mark II. Yes, it is. It is good. It's a quite big lens, so if you are using a tripod, maybe then it's a bit better, because it is quite huge lens, but it works really nicely. I've used it for some images for that. For landscape and especially astrophotography, it's a really good lens because it's really wide and you can really get that sky into that photograph. It is good, but remember that the EM5 Mark II is a quite small body and the lens is quite big. But if that's not a problem, then by all means it's a great lens. And let's see. Yeah, if we have answered those questions. We have 126 people. That's a huge crowd. Rick Joyce is asking me if I still shoot with any older 4/3 Zuiko lenses with the mount adapter. I don't. I've tried to get a hold of those lenses, but at least here in Olympus, Finland, they don't have them anymore. And I haven't really asked if Olympus Europe would send me a few lenses for testing, because those are interesting lenses, but I haven't really used those lenses. And I've looked if they are if I can find any from the used market, but no, they're really expensive and I don't want to buy because I don't really need them, but I would really like to test them. And if there is anyone who uses those, please tell your experiences about those lenses, how they feel. Oh, thanks, Kaustav. That'd be really cool to see those images. And let's talk about the lens in my Facebook group. And if there are any that doesn't know that I do have a Facebook group for this YouTube channel where I have a monthly assignment about which is related to photography, and we've had I think we've had colors, we've had macro, we've had what else? I don't remember, but on April or during April the assignment has been to go back to your images, let's say like 5 years, 10 years, it depends on how long you've been photographing, 1 year if you just started, and look at the image and see what would you do differently today photographically, or maybe a new edit to that image. And that's been really interesting to see the people's progress and people's learning curve, how they're seeing those images. And yes, I will comment almost on every image, which and you will get some feedback. So if that's something new, there will be a link in the description of this video. So if you're interested in that, but I will definitely, Kaustav, look at those images from in the Facebook group. That's cool to see. Let's see, what else do we have? Let's see, Rick Bear again has something to say, and this is on investing in one optimal weather seal pro lens versus 2 consumer lenses. I feel it's a better way to grow your kit by pro. The pro lenses will meet your needs forever. That's true. If you can afford and you don't, let's say that you need two focal lengths, then of course getting 2 consumer lenses could be better. So but if you don't really need all those, then start building up your kit with pro lenses, because those are good forever almost, if you just keep them good and don't throw them around. So those will be good investments. So that's a good, very good point, Rick. Yeah, this is always interesting, that what Stanislav Samolenko is saying, that some Olympus top lenses based on optical schemes of the other brands, like 75mm f1.8, is rumored to me has been made by Sigma, and this is something I've never heard, that 40 to 150mm Pro lens is made by Nikon. That's something I've never heard. I've heard that 75 might be. I don't know what is Robin. Does Robin or Rob has anything to say about this? This is interesting. The 40 to 150mm Pro lens made by Nikon. I don't know. Could be. No idea. Yeah, and Christopher asking about the 12 to 50mm zoom lens, which actually Olympus doesn't make it anymore. So it's a discontinued lens, and it's an interesting lens. I've tested it once, and also about that lens there is a video in my channel from year and a half, 2 years, almost 2 years old video, and no, excuse me, I think it's a good lens. It's an electronic zoom lens too, and it's a very good macro lens also. It has the macro switch, so it's I'm not sure if it's a genuine macro, but very good close-up lens anyway. And if you can find it somewhere, it's a bargain. It's a bit odd size. It's a quite big lens actually, but it's a really good lens. It's a really good lens. I don't know what others say, but I think the image quality is totally fine, no problem. Let's see, what else do we have? Hi Hog Dog from Great Northwest in US, asking me if I had to pick one Olympus Pro lens, what would it be? I would probably pick the 25 f1.2 because the focal length 25 is good. But if the Pro lenses, if the image quality wise, or the character of the lens, and I would say the 70mm f1.2 has the best character in my opinion. But I would still pick the 25 because of the focal length. What would be your lens? What would you pick? Let's see. I would say that Victor is asking, if you use a non-sealed lens on a sealed body in a rainy weather, the risk is to damage the lens, the body, or both. Well, I would say the both, because the lens is not sealed. That would probably be the first damage. But then if it continues to rain and get wet, then because the weather sealed lenses has a rubber sealing in the mount, which the M.Zuiko lenses that are not weather sealed does not have. So I would say that the risk is both, but most likely the first casualty will be the lens. Yeah, you're welcome, XB. I like your conversation. This is one of the greatest things about doing these lives is, of course, answering your questions. But what I like is that you guys ask or answer to each other's questions and talk about this. This is really, because I like different opinions. Always remember that it's my opinion, and most of the things I'm right. Yeah, but not always. There are some things that are not right or wrong. They're just opinions. So that's really great. I really appreciate those answers and the conversation. That's what this is all about. Yeah, there is Robin's take on the 12 to 50mm lens. And weather seal. That was a good point. You know everything, Robin. You remember everything. I didn't remember that it was weather seal, but that's true. That's true. And let's see. Well, no apologies about your grammar. I'm not very good in grammar anytime. It doesn't matter what the time of the day is, so no excuses. I think language, if we get to understand each other, no problem at all. I think it's totally fine. Let's see what else. Let's see. Yeah, this is interesting that Stanislav said. This is something that I need to start researching more about this thing. Yeah, I've heard about, as I said, I've heard about the 75 millimeter being made by Sigma, but that's a rumor. I don't know it, but it's a rumor. But nothing about the Nikon. That's interesting news or rumor, anyways. And yeah, there is the Hogdog has the 12 to 50 millimeter lens, and he says it is excellent. Yeah, I know Sigma 50 millimeter art lenses are really good lenses. I remember when I had Canon gear way back, I used to have the 50 millimeter Sigma. I think it was 1.4 art lens, it was 50 millimeter lens. It was a beautiful lens, and yeah, I remember talking to the Canon people. They didn't like me to having the Sigma lens because they thought that the 50 millimeter Olympus Olympus Canon lens is a lot better, but I would say that it wasn't on that particular lens was a lot better than the Canon lenses. It was a beautiful lens. And let's see, what else do we have? We have people. The amount of people is growing. It's always been more than an hour and 20 minutes already here, and really appreciate your input here. And let's see. And I saw patent filled by Sigma for 75 and Nikon for 70. I assume is exactly the same as Olympus. Yeah, usually that's the way to look at the, if you have the kind of like the lens scheme there, then you can actually see that there might be some similarities. And yeah, it could be true. I don't know. That'd be interesting. I need to look into that. That was an interesting thing to learn. And here, let's see what it is. I need to check that out. Yeah, this is also interesting thing that which we talked about the macro lenses in the beginning of this live stream, and about the 60 millimeter macro. I said that it's a really good macro, and they had some advantages over the 30 millimeter lenses, that it can be a bit closer from the subject, because the 30 millimeter can you go really close to get the same magnification, but with the 60 millimeter you can go further away, and then you don't scare the bugs or the butterflies, and then you also are able to put some light between there. But how about using it for non-macro shots? And that's a really good question, because yes, it is. It's a bit odd shaped. It's a bit kind of like a small lens, and for me it feels a bit odd, because usually when I do macro, I have the camera on a tripod, so it's a little bit better. But it can be used, for example, portraits. It's a perfect focal length for portraits. It's 2.8 lens, but still it is excellent lens for portraits, for example. And I haven't really used it that much other than macro, but the 30 millimeter lens I've used sometimes as a standard lens, because it's quite close to 25 millimeter, and it's more or less, for me, a better all-around lens. But yeah, you could, especially if you do macro and portraits, then the 60 millimeter might be a good option, that you have both in one lens, and that's always good to save some money if you don't want to buy two different lenses. Oh, thanks for, yeah, I probably didn't see this. Corna is saying that 15 millimeter lava is built for all kinds of DSLR mounts. It's wide angle macro. Would love to see something similar. Yeah, that's true. I agree. Thanks for that. I missed it. Thanks for putting it again there, because and also, as I said, that the your conversation in the comment section is great, and or the chat, but also I learn things, always something new to me also, when people are sharing their knowledge, which I really like. Yeah, this is interesting about the filters, which are not that much used anymore with the digital. It used to be a whole different thing when film was, because there were different color lights. You need to filter the different colored lights so that it would be neutral daylight type light, and then you used polarizer, skylight, UV filters to block the ultraviolet light, which is not that a big of a problem with digital anymore. But polarizer, yes, that is a good filter because it will reduce some flares and reflections from water, from shiny object. And if you don't want those, then you just, it's kind of like a two ND filters actually, which you kind of like rotate and make the what do you call, the flares, and not flares but the reflections away. And that, yes, I would use. And if it was magnetic one, yes, definitely I would use. I have a few, but I haven't really needed them recently. I have a few polarizer filters. Hello, Christopher from Belgium. Well, Patrick is asking about the Pana/Leica lenses with aperturing. Will it aperturing? Sorry, yeah, but you know what I mean. Will it work with Olympus camera? No, it won't. It's disabled. You can't really use it unless it's a manual lens. Then it would work. But the Micro Four Third autofocus lenses, no, you cannot use it. I wish you could, because it's not actually that bad to have the aperture from there. Yeah, thank you, Yashwant. Thank you very much. Yeah, there goes the ambassador. Panasonic ambassador is in the house, and he confirms that it doesn't work. Thanks, Matti, for confirming that. And yeah, you went the only one. Welcome, Matty, too. Nice to have you here. Oh yeah. I was actually. Did you, Matty, make the video about buying a body or a lens? Did you make it today? Because there was an Rick Bear asked about that, and I advertised your video already. I don't know if you did it. I hope you did it, because it's already been advertised. Yeah, that's true. We'll be talking about a lot about lenses. Well, let's see, what else do we have? We have 128 people here already. But still, let's say we've been hour and a half already doing this stuff. And let's see what else. Oh, this is interesting. This is really interesting comment from Stanislav Savolenko. I really like his. He has always very good comments, and sometimes he kind of disagrees with me, which I really like, because he knows his stuff really. And he said that he tried non-macro shooting with the 30mm f3.5 macro. The images are very sharp but lacking artistic traits. Very dry picture. This is an interesting thing. And actually, when I start thinking about it, now I've used it on my travels sometimes, because it's a nice and small lens. And as I said, with landscape, for example, if you need to have a not a wide angle view, but a bit more tighter view, then that's a good lens. And you need to in landscape anyways to stop down a bit, then you would use it. But that's an interesting. I need to go back to those images and see if I feel that they are dry. That's a good thing. And this is what I like about, because we see things differently, and that's a good observation. We need to, or I need to check out that too. Let's see, what else do we have? Yeah, Sonia is asking for higher magnification. Does the combo of Raynox DCR 250 and the 60mm macro make sense? I'd like to get a higher magnification, for example, photographing ants. Yes, it does. And the Raynox lenses are really good. It's a kind of like a close-up lens that you attach in front of the lens, and those are really, I have one actually. In my macro video I tested that, and it's marvelous quality. It doesn't, even though as I said earlier that if you put some glass between the lens and the body like a teleconverter, or you put some glass in front of the lens, it always will reduce the image quality. But the Raynox lenses, those are really high quality close-up lenses, and has a really big magnification. So really, yeah, it is. If you can get hold of one, they're really not that common anymore. So, but if you can get hold of one, then no, by all means, try it. Let's see. All right, and Sulantoblog Matti confirms that it be up soon. Great. I really like to see that video. It's an interesting topic, and we've been actually talking about it here because there were some answers about it. But it's be interesting to hear your take on that. Let's see. Yeah, then this is also Matty for you. How about the manual focus clutch on Panasonic cameras? To be honest, I don't remember how it was. I think it didn't work when we tested it. We'll need to fresh up because we're actually, as I said many times, we've been behind with the video that we've been working on for ages, and now with the coronavirus we can't really work together on the video about Panasonic lenses on Olympus cameras and vice versa. But it'll come, and as soon as the situation will get better, you will get that lens. But I don't know, can you, Mari, confirm that? Do you remember that? Yeah, and there is also Rob has been here too. So there is the Three Musketeers and the fourth one. I don't know who the fourth one is, anyways. Kaustavi asking why focus stacking not available for all pro lenses. I don't really know what the reason is, but there, if you're concerned that if your lens is not what do you call the well, if you can't not use stacking with the lens, or if you can, then you should go to Olympus website to check that out. There is a list of lenses that are compatible with focus stacking. Okay, now some. Let's see. Let's see. Corona is acting okay. And that's Blur Kid ITs. I have 7 to 14 millimeter, 12 to 40, 40 to 150, 17 millimeter, and thinking of dropping the 12 to 40 for my walk around kit for 25 1.2 and 45 1.2. Does this seem reasonable? It does if you don't need a wide angle lens. Then yes, it is. Unless you will have the 17 1.2 also there. That's a I would say that I would totally be fine with 17, 25, and 45 lenses. I think I said that already once here in the beginning of this stream when we talked about lenses. And yeah, I think it's a reasonable. It all depends on always the choice of your lens. It depends on your subject and what you're shooting and your shooting style, the style you photograph. Because as I said, some like to have a bit wider angle, some narrow, and others even more narrow. So 17, 25, and 45 is a great combo. All right, you're up early. What's the time in New Zealand right now? You're really up early. That was Patrick Rose from New Zealand. Oh, let's see. All right. Thank you. Welcome, Justin Paulsen. Appreciate it. Let's see, do we have any more questions? Do we have any more questions? Yeah, that's a good, very good combo. That's a very good. That would be nice combo. The EM1 Mark III with the 12 to 40 millimeter start. Yeah, you can. That's a perfect combo for almost anything. You can do almost anything with that, and then building up it later. But that's a really good choice. Good choice. This is also an interesting question that will the lenses in the future be better because of the production quality or is maximum of perfection already there? That's a hard question. It all also depends on a bit about the how the sensors will get better. If there will be a better sensor or maybe a totally different approach to making sensors, some totally new technology, then all the lens technology could change also. So that I would say depends on also a lot about the sensor quality, because I think we've already reached the in many cases in many cameras the sensors are as good as they are, and the lenses are somewhat even better than the sensor. So there might not be, of course, the character could be changed and the bokeh could be changed if they add some, I don't know. It could be better, but it depends on what you consider to be better. That's also a question. So yeah, probably will. And let's see. There was Patrick Rose about let's. Do Metabone speed boosters reads / shows data of what camera lenses we're using Olympus camera with say Canon EOS lenses? And it's 6:40 a.m. in New Zealand. Good morning. Good morning. It's 9:37 p.m. here in Helsinki, Finland. Now I have to say that I don't know. I've never used the Metabone speed boosters, but I would suggest that there will be some information going back and forth, and most likely it is possible, but I don't really know. If Robin knows, it'd be really cool to hear, but I'm not really sure about that. Yeah, Kaustav is asking about the non-pro 140, and he hope it's weather sealed. Let's see what the lens roadmap says. It doesn't, at least here, it doesn't seem to be, because the Nidon Pro lenses that are weather sealed has a red dot on these, and there are the 12 to 200, 14 to 150, and then the discontinued 12 to 40 are the only ones. Plus, of course, then the macro 60mm macro lenses. But this lens map indicates that it will not be, which is a bit of a drag. I hope it was, but it wasn't. Let's see. Let's see. Yeah, there's an interesting conversation about the macro lens and the dry image, and I really like. I need to read these and come back to these chats and see what are your thoughts on that. It's really interesting conversation. And then this is also an interesting question, and we talked about filters, polarizers a bit, but Plurkit IT is asking, are physical ND filters worth carrying around when there is a live ND filter feature on EM1 Mark III? Well, yes and no. Let's first start if you're using for the camera for video, then you need, because live ND doesn't work when you're shooting video. And then we have to remember that live ND is only 5 EV, so 5-stop ND. If you need more, then you need to add some glass. But the good thing about that is that you can combine live ND, and then you can also use the real ND filter and combine those. Then you don't need to have those really expensive like 10-stop ND filters. You can put two or one 5-stop ND filter and then use live ND, and you will have have a really dark ND filter on, and in that sense it's a good thing. And but it depends. If you need more than 5-stop ND filters, then it's all right. But this helps, as actually the live ND filter helps a lot when you're using the 7 to 14 millimeter lens, which has a huge filter holder, that, and it's actually a third-party filter holder that you need to buy, which is not that well, it's actually quite expensive, and then you need really huge glass filters to put in there, which are uh, two things that are bad. They are quite expensive, but then they're really big, and if you are in a windy conditions doing landscape photography, it might even catch some wind and vibrate the camera. Those are so big, those filters. In that, for that lens, and also for the 8 millimeter fisheye lens, that live ND is really good. Let's see. Yeah, then about the image stacking that Hogdog is asking, and it seems the images are stacked from furthest to nearest. Is that right? To be honest, I don't really know which way they stack, but what it usually does when you do stacking or bracketing, it will take an image and come a bit closer and then go back further away. So the first image is going to be there, and then the next one here, and then it goes this way, and it will stack. But I'm not really sure which way it actually starts to stack those images. Let's see. And V. Klein is asking, what is the best lens for CAF tracking? Well, I would say that the Pro lenses are best for that, and telephotos 40 to 150 and 300 millimeter. Even though I have to admit that the tracking isn't the strongest feature or strongest quality in Olympus cameras. In many cases, I wouldn't use the tracking. The CAF works better, but then you need to have the subject in the area where your focus points are. So it depends, and that's why usually moving subject you have the 3x3 or 5x5 area of focusing points. But yeah, the faster autofocus lenses are of course better on that one. Oh, this is interesting from Rick Bear, that he's a pro photographer, but I don't own what considered to be stand-up 25mm lens because everyone takes pictures with stand-up lenses. It helps differentiate my work. That's a good point. So you know that you don't take any images with 25mm. That's actually pretty wise, because differentiation today is really hard because there are so many images around that you need to be really unique to do. And that's one point. Have to use some not so common focal length that nobody else is using that much. That's a wise thing. Sounds really good. And this is also interesting. If I'm interested in writing a book about Olympus, yeah, I am. I've written actually quite a few books. I've one in Finnish 2004, and then we made a book series for Canon in 2008 till 2012, I think it was. And it was the time when they were selling tons and tons of DSLRs, and one thing was that they got a book. It was better images with Canon cameras, and then there was also some lectures that I kind of like, when they bought the camera, they got the book, and then they got a course with me. So I had a lot of lectures and teach people to use their cameras. But I don't know about DVD of the YouTube videos. I have sometimes thought or think that I will or wanted to make a whole course about cameras and photography to some some of these platforms that like Kajabi or Skillshare or whatever those are. But never really DVD. That would be actually pretty interesting to put all the videos on a DVD. I most likely have them all. That would be kind of fun actually. I don't know if that would sell that much, but yeah, that's a good idea, and I need to think about that. Let's see. Yeah, about the I think Stanislav is talking about the live ND filters. And does it work in video? No, it doesn't, because it would need to so much power to have the filter applied to every image, because it's kind of like you can see how it works. You can see how the water, for example, if you have a long exposure water, you can see it real time what the image will look like. And are there any drawbacks in comparison with real ND filters? I haven't come across any, really. I've used it for sometimes, or sometimes I've used it, but I haven't really got any drawbacks. Mainly only good things. So I wouldn't say that there are any drawbacks in that, because they look the same. If you have a 5-stop ND filter, which is a real filter, and then you have a live ND filter, it will look exactly the same. So I wouldn't say that there are any drawbacks. If anyhow have used it and have had any problems with it, please let us know. Do you think the 75mm f1.8 lens have the optical quality of a pro lens? This was a question by Nick, and I would say yes. It is. It is as good as the pro lenses. It's a bit different character, but it is. It is. It doesn't have the weather sealing, but image quality wise, optical quality, like you asked, it is. Yeah, it is. Let's see. Can someone do a video with real ND filter and compare that with EM1 Mark III or EM1X? I did make a live ND video about EM1X, and to be honest, I don't remember if I tested the filters, but you might want to see that. It's if you search for live ND, you'll find it, but I'm not really sure if I did. But that actually could be a good topic for a video. So anybody, Rob, could you? I know that at least Rob has the camera. Yeah, and then Patrick Rose is saying that he has a variety of Pentax lenses, but he hasn't been able to find an adapter with a circuit board to use AF on my Olympus. I don't know if that even exists, but I think I'll put a link in the description to a place that has lots of adapters. If you haven't seen, I think it's PhotoDiox or something like that. They have tons of different adapters. PhotoDiox, yeah, that's what I think it is. But I'll check it out, and I'll put the link and see if you haven't checked that place, then. But I haven't come across either any filters or any adapters for that will make Panasonic lenses. I mean Pentax lenses, so that the AF would work. And now I think it's a good time to advertise my next week's live, that is on Wednesday or Thursday if you're in Asia and New Zealand and Australia. My guest will be photographer Joseph Ellis he's an wedding and family photographer from Dallas, Texas, and he has also a very good YouTube channel. So if you're not familiar with his content, go and check it out. He's a really good, and also an Olympus educator, and I think we will have a really nice discussion. And I usually do these lives on Wednesday that I have had now during the lockdown or this odd situation. I've done these interviews of different Olympus photographers, and I've had as a guest, I've had Mari Sulanto, then I had Rob Trek, and I had Matt Suez, and then last Wednesday was Joe Edelman, and next week will be Joe Ellis. And if there are any that you want to see me interview on this Wednesday live, then please let me know. But let's continue. There's still growing amount of people here, and I got 25 minutes on my battery, so let's see if we can drain out that battery and do a 20-minute so that we'll be almost here for 2 hours, but that's all right. Let's see what we have. Let's see. And this would be interesting comparison, because the EM1 Mark III has a really good face and eye detection. The Sony cameras, I think they even have the animal eye detection already, but I don't know if any of you have tested this. I haven't, so I can't say anything about it. But I know that EM1 Mark III, it works really, really good. And if the Sony is better, then it must be really, really good, because Olympus is totally good on this one. Let's see what else. Yeah, that's a good point from Rick Bear, that it might be worth trying the MC14 or MC2010L converter to increase magnification or reach of the 300mm. And yeah, because 300mm is actually, it's not a macro lens, but you can do really nice close-ups with it, because it can focus quite close. And if you put the extender there, then you can kind of like be closer, even though the distance is the same, but the magnification is bigger, because there are a lot more millimeters in the lens. So that's a good point. Let's see what we have here. Let's see. Patrick Rose again is asking about Pentax, and have any of you used Pentax in the earlier days? And yes, I have. And actually, I have a video. I just made it about a month or two ago, where I was going through my old cameras that I have owned and used, and some that I've collected. I'm not a collector, but I have some vintage cameras, and you might want to watch that. And yeah, I did use Pentax Super A for many years for my professional work, and it was a good camera, and I still have one, but it's in that box that I cannot find. I don't know where it is right now. I've lost a box with some cameras somewhere, but I'll find it. But yes, I have. I don't know about Robin and Sulanto blog, if they have used Pentax in their career. Hello, Cecilia, and you might want to see the beginning of this. I answered your questions about your architecture photography, but I will in that post I will comment on that some more, so we can discuss that a bit more about your photography in India. So we'll get back to that. So nice to have you here, Cecilia. All right, there it is. Maddie's first SLR was a Pentax. Yeah, Jaira, that's a good thing. Yeah, Joe is interesting photographer, and I think Rob had him on his live recently with, I think it was with Jimmy from Red 35, and I watched that for some times, and it was really interesting. But it will be interesting on Wednesday to hear his thoughts about photography. Those conversations on Wednesday, I try to keep them more about photography and about the photographer that I'm interviewing than gear. But of course, we'll always have some kind of a Q&A, and because Joe Ellis is a Olympus educator, he knows quite a lot and has a long experience in Olympus cameras, so it'd be interesting to hear his views. And let's see. And then there is Edward Treverton says that he doesn't use a strap with his EM1X when he uses 40 to 150 millimeter Pro or, his 300 millimeter Pro lens, that worry about no support for the camera flange. No, I don't think it's durable set, and I don't. If you don't kind of like throw it around or shake it that much, I don't think there is a problem with that at all. It's well made and really durable, so no worries about that. Let's see. Let's see. Okay, that's if Fagerlund says that he has about some concerns about the sharpness of MC14, the teleconverter, the 1.4 teleconverter. He's been a bit disappointed. Well, sorry to hear that, but I don't really see that the difference is that big that would be worried about the image quality. Of course, as I said, when you put some glass between the lens and the body, it will affect, of course, because there's more glass, it will affect the image quality. But I haven't really found that that is so bad. And you know that the combo will focus correctly. Have you tested that there's no problem with the focusing? Because once I've had a bit of a problem with, I think it was the MC20 and the 40 to 150 millimeter lens when I tested it. Not when I tested it for the video, but another combo where there was a bit of a problem with the focusing. It wasn't, there was something wrong with the lens, so it wasn't really perfect. So that could be a case too. So test it before that, you be sure that it focuses properly. Yeah, you're welcome, Cecilia. We'll talk about that. And let's see, what else do we have? Well, I'm not really, to be honest, I'm not really sure if there are any nice 28 millimeter equivalent primes in the MF system. That would be around 14 millimeters. Well, there is Sigma that is 16 millimeter lens, which is quite good, and then there is the Panasonic lens too, which probably Mari can tell you a bit more. All right, and then let's put some advertisement here that Solanto Blog's video is up now, so you can, so don't go away yet. I know it's an interesting video and I don't want to see it, but don't leave yet. We got still 15 minutes, about 21 minutes on my battery, so we'll start. But that's an interesting video. I really want to see that. Let's see if people are leaving now, if the numbers are growing. That'll be fun. Yeah. Let's see, what else do we have here? Yeah. This is, I always wants to ask Robin that does he ever sleep, because it's middle of the night. When he was on my Wednesday interview or talk, when we talked about, well, it was 3 hours. We started, it was 3 a.m. in Malaysia, and when we stopped, it was 6 a.m. and he was on fire on that. If you haven't seen that, go and find it on my channel. It was very good conversation. Really nice questions that we got, and Robin knows his stuff, so he was answering it, and he was on fire on that. Let's see if there are any questions. We still have 123 people online here, which is a huge number. I'm totally blown away about the number, because when I started this and I was thinking that, oh, let's see how many people, I was saying that if I get over 80, I'm totally happy, and now we've had over 100, 130 almost all the time, and this is so great. This is so great. Let's see. And Hogdog is asking that he's never used Olympus MMF3. Are there any 4/3 lenses worth buying? As I said before, I haven't really tested those, but I know that there are some really great glass. And I know Jari Peltomäki is using one for his bird photography. I think it's, if I'm saying that it's 100 and 200, maybe it's something about that. And it's really good lens, what he says, and I think it's worth a try. Of course, the AF will be quite slow, but it depends on what you're taking images of. If you don't need really fast autofocus, then it's not a problem, but it's worth a try, and that's something that I haven't really tried, but is something that I will try as soon as I get some 4/3 glass that I could use. And let's see if there are any. Are there any? Let's see, any more questions, or are we? It's been 2 hours. 2 hours. And I would say that Sebastian is asking, are Olympus lenses the same high quality as Fuji? I'll choose soon. I would say that it's not about the lenses. They're both lenses are great. Yeah, they are same high quality. And M.Zuiko lenses are really good. So what it comes to is what I would say that it's of course the price, the form factor. If you need an APS-C, then yeah, or if a smaller body with really cool features, then the look and feel of the cameras are quite same, because that is something that when somebody asked me if I wasn't shooting with Olympus, what would I choose, and most likely it would be Fuji. So you can't go wrong. But of course, I would suggest you go with Olympus. You have this great Micro Four Thirds community like Rob Drake, Robin Wong, Madi Solanto, me, Joe Edelman, Joe Ellis, Red 35, and Micro Four Nerds, I think, at Emily's channel. So there is lots and lots of support too. So that's a good reason to get a Micro Four Thirds camera like Olympus. Let's see, what do we have here? Oh, this is interesting. Atraxia, I heard of you for the first time today from Photo Universe channel. Well, welcome, and I hope you enjoyed my channel and enjoyed this live stream. And go check out what other videos I have in my channel. And if you feel that you like what you see, then please subscribe and start following the stuff if you find it interesting. But welcome. It's always nice to attract some new people to the channel and to the Micro Four Thirds YouTube world, which is really active and good. It's a lot of fun and a lot of nice photographers, as I already mentioned here many times. Thanks, Rick Bear. Yeah, I've enjoyed it too, and thanks for your really good questions. Always appreciated. And I still have now the battery says 18 minutes, so but there are some questions still. Let's see what the Zones 63 says. I have EM10 Mark II and Pancake 14 to 42. Lens went broke and wanted to buy used one to replace it. Instead, I bought EM5, the original one. All right, great, with the 14 to 42 battery grip. Good deal. Well, it is very good deal. With if that's the price, then it's a marvelous deal, and I like your thumbs up for that too on your very good deal. Very good deal. The 14, as I said earlier, also when somebody was asking to replacing the kit lens, that it's really good lens. The 14 to 42. If the electronic zoom doesn't bother you, then it's totally it's a great lens. It's a great lens. This could be, can you go to Vietnam and do a factory tour of Olympus factory? Would love to see where and how our cameras and lenses are built. Bungee gum, that's a great idea. And I will go there as soon as possible when Olympus is paying my trip. I can't really afford to go Vietnam right now, but that would be awesome. That would be a great place for the Olympus YouTubers to meet. We should start working on that, Robin, shouldn't we? Maybe Rob is here too, and he could also be part of that. That would be a totally awesome trip to go see that. It's a good idea. Thanks for that. That's a really good idea. Let's see what else. Yeah, this is a good from Susanna Eriksson. He's talking about the small size, and that's exactly the thing that I like about, because the small size, and it's so easy to carry around, and you have variety of huge amount different lenses. You got small lenses, big lenses, or not that big, but anyway, you get like the 300 millimeters are quite big. But anyways, you have so much variety, and then of course you have Panasonic lenses for Micro Four Thirds, and then you have Laowa, you got Sigma, you get whatnot, and that's a really versatile system. And yeah, light system is really something that I like too. Yeah, Andrew Campbell has been to Vietnam. I'd never been to Vietnam. I know Maddie Solando has been there, but I've never been there. That's something that I should do if traveling will be possible in the near future. That'll be totally cool. And yeah, then Sonja Tiege is asking about TG6 and is it really usable underwater? And I've tried it, not like scuba diving, but just put it underwater with my hands. And there is a video in my channel about the TG6 that you might want to watch. And the microscopic mode, well, it has the microscopic mode, but then you can have a adapter that will guide the LED light around your lens, and you can actually stick the camera right to the subject, and you will get some amazing macros with it. It's a really fun camera and to use. And yes, it's durable. You can drop it, you can walk over it, you can drive a car over it, and it won't break. And it's really good. Oh, is there an incident in Kuala Lumpur? Or what are these guys talking about? This is interesting. Please let us know what's going on. Oh yeah, this is another thing that we should do. How about a photo workshop with Robin, Rob, Peter, Joe, etc., leading with the tour on the agenda as well, 2021. So, guys, if you're still here, are you in? Let's start planning this. This would be so cool. We actually need to do this or start planning on it. Let's see, what else do we have? I still have 13 minutes, but I think I will start to say thank you everybody for these great questions. And we still have 130 people here. So if you still have questions, I can be here. I still have some 30 minutes, and actually I have a spare battery here, so I could actually change it. But I don't think that there aren't that many questions anymore, even though we have 130 people still online. Let's see. All right. Spinning Hirmo. Peter, according to your recommendations, I bought a M5 or the EM5 Mark III. Could not be more satisfied. Now I really do have a compact set for street photography. Great to hear. I'm really glad that my advice was something that you are still happy with. Really, really, really great to hear this. And I think I start to wrap up this thing and remind you that my next Wednesday or Thursday morning, early morning, if you're in Asia or Australia, New Zealand, my guest will be photographer Joseph Ellis from Dallas, Texas. He's a wedding and a portrait photographer, that, like he says on his YouTube videos, and he also has a YouTube channel. So go check that out. And he's also an Olympus educator. So I think we will have a interesting conversation. It's trying to keep that Wednesday live more about photography, and then these other lives that I do every now and then is more about gear. But I hope you can join me on next Wednesday with Joe Ellis, and I think I'll hit the finish button here, and I will thank you so much for being here. I really appreciate it. And as I said earlier, that I really appreciate your conversation between you in the chats, and the conversation has been really nice, and haven't had to moderate it at all. There's no bad language or hate speech. I really appreciate it, and thank you very much, and stay safe. And if you have to stay at home, please try to keep your mind so that you don't go bizarre being indoors. And if you have to work, and especially if you're working with as a healthcare in the healthcare section, greatly appreciate that work. That's really important work for all of us, and to keep us healthy and get better if we catch the virus. But stay safe, and Thanks for watching. Bye for now.